Congress weighs in on caring for America's wounded soldiers. Judy Woodruff has the story.
I'd like to welcome all witnesses today as we review the Department of Defense medical programs.
Today, it was the turn of the committees that control the Pentagon's purse strings to look at the state of military medical care. In his third appearance in as many days before a congressional panel, Army Surgeon General Lieutenant General Kevin Kiley was joined at a Senate Appropriations Subcommittee hearing by his counterparts in the Air Force and Navy. Apart from funding questions, Washington State Democrat Patty Murray sought guarantees that critics inside the military would not be punished.
And I want your personal assurance, if you would please give that to me, that no soldier who blows the whistle on substandard care will be retaliated against.
Senator, you have my word. There's a law that prevents that also, the whistleblower law, and I share your concern that soldiers either feel that they can't certainly talk to their representatives. Certainly, we want them to talk to us, but we've never put a prohibition or a threat of retaliation, for example, if they talk to the press.
The Navy's Surgeon General, Vice Admiral Donald Arthur, warned of the risks of cutting money for medical care.
We are not going to be able to maintain services at the level that we have now with a 1/6 cut in our funding. So we're facing a number of challenges that are coming together in a perfect storm. It's the funding, it's the people, and it's an increasing mission, not only for combat service support, but for those casualties who are coming back who need ever more services. We have physicians who are doing their own administrative work, filling out workers' compensation forms and other paperwork because we don't have the support staff, because they have been systematically cut over the last few years. It's degrading our efficiency, it's degrading our morale, and it's degrading our ability to take care of combat wounded veterans.
Maryland Democrat Barbara Mikulski asked about long-term planning with the Veterans Administration.
The fact that here we are in the fifth year of the war in Iraq, and we don't have a plan for what happens when these men and women leave truly acute care. That not only the 50-year plan, but we don't have a 3-year plan.
The Marines have a plan, the Marine for Life program and others that take care of Marines even after they're discharged to active duty or reserves. The Marines have been very, very forthcoming and forward-leaning in taking care of their own Marine casualties.
After Mikulski was told that the Air Force has also worked with the Veterans Administration, she turned to General Kiley of the Army.
Have you met with them?
I have not met with the Secretary on this subject.
I find this horrifying. After 5 years, I just find this, the lack of a continuum.
This afternoon, General Kiley was joined by top Army brass for more questions from a House Appropriations Subcommittee. For more on all this, we turn to Democratic Senator Patty Murray of Washington State. As we just saw, she serves on the Defense Subcommittee of the Senate Appropriations Committee. And South Carolina Republican Lindsey Graham. He's on the Senate Armed Services Committee. Senators, thank you both for being with us. Senator Murray, we saw you in that hearing today. What did you learn today about how the services, the Army, the Navy, and the others are dealing with these service members when they're making that transition out of active duty into and toward retirement and veteran status?
Well, I have to tell you, I am deeply concerned. We have a huge chasm 4 years into this war where we are failing the men and women who are serving us so honorably overseas that are wounded. And they come home, they get good immediate care when they need surgery and the immediate things they need to keep them alive. But as they stay in the system for long-term care, they sort of become the forgotten stepchildren for the Army in particular, and we find out that they are, Walter Reed, in bad conditions, but that's only a symptom, I think, system-wide of what we're seeing. Then as they try to get out of the service or try to get their medical board reviews, they wait for months and months and months, and then they finally get out at a disability rate that is too low, and then they come into a paperwork nightmare as they try to move into the VA system. This is just wrong. This is not planning for a long-term conflict and the impacts on men and women.
Were your questions answered today to your satisfaction?
No, they weren't. I mean, obviously, I was glad that General Kiley assured me that the men and women who have been told that they will be retaliated against if they speak out won't be. I will hold him to his word on that. That's absolutely critical. But as far as leadership at the highest levels from General Kiley, I just don't feel satisfied that we have a plan even for the next few months to get through this. We now have bipartisan commissions, we have people looking at it, we have oversight hearings, but the fact is every single day that we wait for another study is a day that men and women and their families are struggling, and that's just wrong.
Senator Graham, as we noted, you are on the Senate Armed Services Committee. You're also, we should point out, in the Air Force Reserve, so you have that perspective as well. Tell us, in your view, about yesterday's hearing. Were your questions answered? Did you come away reassured?
Well, I was in the Armed Services Committee. The first question is, how did Building 18 become Building 18? I think it goes back to the fact that the wars lasted longer than people anticipated. The casualties have been greater. The system has been overflowing. And as your lead-in piece indicated, the system is stressed. Everything about the military is stressed. So Building 18 was brought into service to house patients before it had been housing people in transit. And $250,000 was spent in 2005 to renovate the building. My question as a military lawyer for 20-something years, who was the first sergeant in charge of Building 18? Who is the company commander whose job it is to inspect facilities? And we want to hold commanders at the highest level accountable, but there's also a chain of command down below. Some rooms in Building 218 got to be deplorable because it was just not structurally sound. Somebody in the Army is responsible for maintaining that building. I want to know who they were and why they didn't do a better job.